Okay, so for the task number 3, we will introduce you to the random number generator and the if statement. Okay, so so the case that we are doing here is we are going to play the games of coin tossing. Okay, so coin tossing game where you can get the head, where you can get like the head or tail, hua koi, yeah, every time that you play coin tossing with about equal probability. Okay, so firstly I will introduce you to another library in the Python. It's a sub library within the NumPy, so it is a numpy.random. Okay, so we call this the sub library because in the numpy.random itself you got many of the commands, and many of these commands are the commands about the probability theory and the statistics. Yeah. So if we want to import just one command from a library, so what we do here is we do from followed by the library, and we do import and followed by the command. Okay, so the command that we're using today is run. So run is the command run is just to generate a random number. So if I start with typing r equals to run like this, and we print out the value of r. So what you get here is just a random number. So this random number can have the values between 0 and 1, so it can be any value. So if you try to run this program many times, so it will just try to generate some number at random. Okay, and then after that, okay, so we are using this random number for the coin tossing game. Okay, so what we do here is we want to specify the condition for head and tail. Okay, so the head here, we want the value r to be more than 0.5, and the tail here, okay, we want the value of r to be less than or equal 0.5. So this will make the probability of to get head and tail almost equally. Okay, so so to satisfy this equation, okay, we can use the if statement. Okay, so if I start with moving this down here, okay, and I say if, okay, if it could be just if r larger than 0.5. So this is a Boolean statement. So this can have the value true or false, depends on the value of r. So that means if this statement is true, okay, so you can type colon and then enter. So actually you use the condition. Okay, it need to be after the if word by one indentation or by pushing one tab. Okay, so for example, if I do this, we will just printing the head. Okay, and then we can say like else. Okay, so if it is in the other case, you might want to print tail. Yeah. Okay, so let's try to run this program the other time. Yeah, to run this. Okay, so the first time we get tail, then we get head, then we get tail, head, tail. So it's about the equal probability. Yeah. But if we want to count the number specifically, okay, also we want to count the number of head and tail. Yeah. What we do here is we need to specify a variable. Actually, specify two variables. Yeah. So I will call the h for the number of head, and we will call t for the number of tails. Okay. So firstly, we start off with 0. Okay. So before doing anything, before doing the random, firstly we specify the number of head. Okay. So we define this as 0 and tail is 0. And then we want to do this coin tossing experiment many times. Yeah. So what we can do with this is we want to do the for loop of these actions of specifying this random number to print out the head and to print out the tail. Okay, so you can say for I in range 0, 100. So suppose that we do this experiment for 100 times, and then you get the error here. Okay, so the error here, it says that the expected and indented block. Okay, so the indented block, this means that you in the Python syntax, yeah, the things that you need to be careful is if you use for or if you use the if, your latter command, you should push one tab for this command to going back for one indentation. Okay, so for example, if you want to use the for loop for all these commands, okay, you just want to highlight all of this and then push tab. Okay, tab, and here's what you get, and this error will disappear. Okay, so this means you are going to do all of this for 100 times. Okay, so for example, if we do all of this for 100 times, yeah, here's what you get. So this is like the coin tossing for 100 times. So sometimes you get head and tails, head, tails, tail, head, tail, tail for 100 times. Okay, but now we don't want this anymore. We want just only the number of heads and tail. Okay, so every time that you toss and you get head, instead of printing, you want to update the value of h. So h equal h plus 1 is, firstly, you have the value of head as 0, and then you got the 0 plus 1, and then after the program, after this line works, your value of h will not be 0 anymore, but it will be 1. Okay, so yeah, we can do the same for tail. So t equals t plus 1. Yeah. So if you don't want to print the head anymore, but you still want to come back to use it for the other times, what you can do here is you can put the hash here, or to make this as a comment, because if you delete the hash here, this line will be working, but if you type the hash back here, this line will not be working anymore. Okay, so I will put the hash on the head and on the tail. And finally, what you can do is you can try to print out the head and tail. So if I type print HT, let's see if it works. Okay, so for this time, you have the value of head and tail as 50-50. So that means you toss your coins up for 100 times and you get about the equal numbers. But if you run this for the other time, you get 45 and 55, which is also possible because you do some random experiment. You're not supposed to get the same numbers every time, but on average you should get something like 50-50. Okay. So, or you can print these things out as format again. So if I make this as a tuple or as a bracket with two variables, and then you have got a quote here. Okay, and you can type down any message like we get a number, like so. This format %3D here, this means to print out as the integer. So we get a number of heads and a number 3D of tails. Okay, and then print. Okay, so the program will tell you that we get 52 heads and 48 tails. To run this another time, we get 48 heads, 52 tails. Okay, so this is the end of the task 3. Thank you.